Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with another episode of this Snowflake Corner where we cover news from outside the UK. Episode 39. This is the date and time. It's the 13th of August 2024 at 7 p.m. UK time. We are only streaming on YouTube. I'm still having Twitch problems, guys, so I'm afraid I cannot fix those right now. How are everyone here is doing? Jao, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing. And all lurking. Yes, good evening, Jao, and anybody else who happens to be lurking here live. The gang is here behind me as always. Ollie, Pingu, and Cash Dummy here. Remember, members, you have emojis for them. If you ever want to use them, you're more than welcome to do so. Renanga Pagan, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. So we got quite a few stories to cover here. I've actually got one or two clips as well. I wanted to play as well for you guys as well. So the first one I've got is more problems, guys. I mean, obviously the issues in the Middle East are not going away, and it's really important to continue to highlight them. Obviously, like I say, if you have Rumble, do check out the Rumble page. Obviously, I'm covering a lot of stories within what's happening in the Middle East on that. But we do have one. I do have this one for you guys here from Al Jazeera. And it's regarding the occupied West Bank. So an Israeli crowd storms the Al-Aqsa Mosque as the West Bank villagers are on Jewish holiday. The raid in the Taiwanese is part of a broader settler violence in the occupied West Bank on the Jewish anniversary of the temple's destruction. Yeah, it was even more. Satu Hushi, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. What's even worse is they had protection from the Israeli police, so it wasn't like that they could do anything about it. They are just completely powerless in all this. Palestinians, they are so powerless in all this. It's just blatant unfair. It really is. Just, I mean, rubbing salt in the wounds as it was bad enough, but this is just exacerbates it, you guys. And like, we just don't. I just don't understand why we keep having this issue of the world just can carry on like normal, like everything's fine in the Middle East, you know, except what's happening in Gaza. But they don't talk enough about what's happening in the West Bank. I mean, it's good that there is some pressure being applied by the International Criminal Courts, but it's not doing anything. Like, the Western nations know what's happening. They know this is happening in the West Banks, and they're turning a blind eye to it. We know they're turning a blind eye to it, and it's absolutely shameful. It's absolutely shameful, you guys. So Israeli crowds have stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied East Jerusalem, as well as villages in the occupied West Bank as they mark a Jewish holiday. Yeah, talk about throwing insult to injury to these people. The far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir led a crowd of thousands into the Al-Aqsa Mosque, compounding the occupied East Jerusalem on Thursday, and performed prayers despite Jewish religious rites being banned at the location. Israeli police reportedly offered protection as well as to illegal settlers involved in the violence in the West Bank. And because he's the security minister, he can do this, and they can't do anything about it. And if they protest in any way, shape or form, they can be arrested. The Palestinians, they can't do anything about this. Ben-Gvir promised to defeat Hamas in Gaza in a video he filmed during his visit to prayers. Al-Aqsa is Islam's third holiest site and a symbol of Palestinian national identity, but is also a Judaic holiest place. Tishba B'Aviv is a Jewish day of mourning for the destruction of the site of the ancient temple by the Romans in 70 AD. Ben-Gvir, who heads a hardline political party on which Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition government depends, led more than 2,000 Israelis through the compound singing Jewish hymns under protection of Israeli police. An official from the WAGF, QF, the Jordanian body that is the custody of the site, told AFP. The minister Ben-Gvir, instead of maintaining the status quo at the mosque, is supervising the judicial operation and trying to change the situation inside Al-Aqsa Mosque, the official said. Israeli police also imposed restrictions on Muslims worshippers trying to enter the mosque, he added. So they were even, they were basically trying to make it difficult to stop them from even coming in as well. The Minister of Girvik and Gali Affairs Yoskik and other members of the Israeli Kiddush reportedly joined the march. The US has criticized Ben-Gvir, saying he had hurt efforts for talks towards a Gaza ceasefire. Well, they don't want a ceasefire. No, they don't want a ceasefire. This is another kicking the can down the road sort of thing. Not only is it unacceptable, it detracts from what we think is a vital time. We are working to get this ceasefire deal across the finish line, State Department spokesperson Vedel Patel had told reporters. The United Nations also denounces Ben-Gvir for leading prayers at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, calling the move unduly provocative. We are against any efforts to change the status quo within the holy sites, Deputy Spokesperson Fali Hag had said. Al-Aqsa Mosque, like other holy sites in Jerusalem, should be left to themselves and should be controlled by the existing religion authorities for the site. This sort of behaviour is unhelpful and is unduly provocative. In the occupied West Bank, Israeli settlers mounted a series of marches to mark the day, according to local media. The settlers are using the fact that there is a religious holiday and religious commemorations to lay claim to more Palestinian land, Al Jazeera's Nida Imran had reported from Ramadis. She said that the people in one village, Al Tamir, had told her that it was the largest settler invasion that the community had seen thus far in what has become a regular occurrence. We've seen it before. Settlers use the fact that they have a religious ceremony and they tried to conduct those ceremonies in occupied territory, Imran continued, noting that villagers' compounds are often invaded during such events. Tensions and violence between Israeli settlers and police and military are on one side and Palestinian armed groups and civilians on the other has spiked since Israel's war on Gaza began in October. Good to see you, number 3 there. I hope you're doing well. And anyone else who's lurking as well, if I didn't say hello. The Palestinian authorities that administer parts of the West Bank say more than 624 Palestinians, including 145 children, have been killed, and thousands have been arrested or forced from their homes due to demolitions and land confiscations over the past 10 months. At least 18 Israelis, 12 security forces personnel has also been killed in the occupied territory. Earlier on Tuesday, Israeli forces killed a young Palestinian man and injured at least 4 others when they raided a home of Palestinian prisoners and demolished 2 apartments in the city of Ramat Ramadov and El-Bursk, a local media reported. What was this? Oh, he might be working for Hamas. Is that their claim? Or he might be one of the security for Israelis. He may have done something. We think he's done something. So that's why we did what we did. They'll come up with some excuse with no evidence, of course. Mosque Salsur, a resident of Al-Amini's refugee camp in the Ramadal and El-Bursk area, died of his injuries at the Palestinian medical complex, according to the Palestinian news agency WAFCA. WAFCA did not provide further details on the condition of 3 other gunshot victims and the young man hit by an Israeli army vehicle during the pre-dawn raids. Israel is intensifying its violent raids in the occupied West Bank and attempting to shift the status quo of East Jerusalem, including Al-Aqsa Mosque, as the world's focus remains on the Gaza war, said Hassan Bari, a professor of international affairs at Qatar University. Yeah, as long as this conflict goes on as well, they can continue to push and take settlements that's not theirs in the West Bank. And no one's doing it. And like I said, no one's doing anything about it. It's still happening. Settlers think that it's a kind of golden opportunity, that the region is in turmoil and the government is the most extremist in history, and they want to exploit this in order to change the status quo of the mosque, Bari told Al Jazeera. The international community is either complicit or indifferent to what is happening in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, he added, noting that Western leaders issue empty condemnations with little action. Israel feels it has impunity to do whatever it wants in the West Bank. And that's exactly it. They are allowed to do this and get away with this stuff. Once again, like, just more of this, guys, just continues to happen, and it's just so insulting to the Palestinian people to kind of rub things in their face like that. It's just so disrespectful. It really is disrespectful, guys. It really does make me sick to my stomach sometimes. I always try to put myself in the shoes of other people, but I just feel like that these specific groups of Israelis are so extreme. I just feel like that. I feel, obviously we have to put things in perspective here. We are looking from the outside. We don't know what's happening 100% for sure. We can only go by what media reports are telling us, by what people on the ground are telling us. I don't know if the majority of Israel is accepting this, but I do know we do know that when I covered, there was a conflicting story, obviously, about allegedly some Palestinian prisoners being raped, obviously, but they did drive some conflicting division within Israel in itself. I don't know how much of that is actually being mentioned, and I wonder if there are some of those same Israelis there who feel that this may be going a bit too far. I'd like to think there is some, nonetheless, still pretty disappointing to say the least there. They are taking every meter of land that they can while the world just stands by it and says nothing disgusting, says Joe. Yeah. People need to wake up fast, says number 3. Yeah. Netanyahu really doesn't like Harris, apparently. Yeah, I got that impression. I've had that impression. I've been trying to understand the ignorance for ages. Darn difficult. The religion in all this is really playing a part. Did anyone know about the Elon Musk and Trump interview? We're going to come to that in a moment, don't worry. I've been upsetting racists, getting racist challenges me on my videos, and been having fun with them and humiliating them as one angry pagan. Yeah, might as well have fun. Might as well have fun with some of them. I won't do that myself, but that's entirely your choice if you want to do it on your own, but on your channel. But probably best for me not to do that, considering the death threats I got when I did a video on Tommy Robinson. I'm not going to go down that road. But you can, on your channel, you can do whatever you want, pagan. Now, someone was asking about Elon Musk and Donald Trump, guys. So, I did not watch the full thing. But what I did do is, if you guys want to check it out, if you know the YouTube channel, there is one or two clips, videos out there of some of the highlights if you don't want to indulge yourself in going through the whole lot. But I'm gonna play this bit here because This is really funny because you would think that something as big as this, like we're going to get Trump on X. Let's make sure everything is all prepared. You're going to make sure everything is all up to scratch. After technical delays, Trump talks immigration and tech policy with Musk. The former President Donald Trump and tech billionaire Elon Musk spoke on a live event on X, the social media app that Musk owns. It was just plagued with so many issues. It was ridiculous, guys. The issues were ridiculous. And we're going to listen to a report here from NBC News before. Yeah.
Donald Trump overnight making a return to his old favorite megaphone, taking part in a streaming conversation on X with the site's billionaire owner, Elon Musk.
You're an interesting character.
Musk endorsing Trump again in the friendly discussion.
I think you're the right path.
And by the way, like, if I lost count how many times Elon Musk in this conversation kept saying, yeah. He said that so many times, it was insane.
Which began about 40 minutes late, plagued by technical difficulties.
My apologies for the late start.
40 minutes late, so already going off to a great start here.
The former president railing against his new political opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris.
We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden.
Trump suggesting Harris would be too weak to oppose foreign dictators and discussing his own negotiations with Russian President Vladimir Putin over attacking Ukraine.
I said to Vladimir Putin, I said, don't do it. And I told him things that what I do. And he said, no way. And I said, way.
No way. You're not going to do that, Trump. You wouldn't do that. Way. Does anyone seriously believe this? Seriously? Who's stupid enough to believe this? I said to Vladimir Putin, I said, don't do it. Don't do it. And I told him things that I will do. This is what I will do if you do it. And he said, no way. And I said, way. He expects... the thing is, if you watch it, you will want that time back, guys. You will want your time back plus expenditure. It's just so ridiculous. This comment itself just so ridiculous. I just can't hear. I'm just trying to imagine Vladimir Putin saying on the phone like, "No way." I just can't see it. I just can't see it. Good evening, Suzanne. Hope you're doing well.
Mr. Trump mispronouncing Harris's name as he brought up a recent Time magazine cover on the vice president.
Sounds like he needs to take another cohesive cognitive test there, guys.
It was a drawing. And actually, she looked very much like our great first lady, Melania. She didn't look like Camilla.
Camilla? Who's Camilla? Answers on a postcard.
That's right. But of course, she's a beautiful woman, so we'll leave it at that.
The former president also taking aim at President Biden.
This was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States.
He's still going on with that. He's still saying, it was a coup. It was a coup. He's still going on with this, guys. It's just insane.
Didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice way or we can do it the hard way.
Mr. Trump, who's been courting union workers in battleground states, praising Musk, who's had mass firings and layoffs at his multiple companies.
They go on strike, and you say, that's okay, you're all gone.
The Harris campaign...
Yeah, because, nothing's like protecting workers' rights by... if the moment a worker says they want more rights, and you say, okay, you're fired. Yeah, that's definitely for the working people. Trump has literally said in his speeches that he doesn't care about other people. He doesn't care about people. He says, I don't care about you. He literally said that to a crowd once. I don't care about you. And yet people still swallow it up. It's insane.
Responding to the event overnight, saying, quote, Trump's entire campaign is in service of people like Elon Musk and himself, self-obsessed rich guys who will sell out the middle class and who cannot run a live stream in the year 2024.
Cannot run a live stream in the year 2024. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Can't even run a live stream. I'm just some 2-bit YouTuber, and look, I'm running a live stream perfectly fine here. Very rarely do I get technical difficulties. We're talking about Elon Musk, the owner of X, a so-called tech billionaire and one of the smartest men on the planet, and he can't even get his show going properly. Like, what's wrong with him? Like, it's just embarrassing.
So Garrett, we're also now.
I'm not gonna listen to the rest of this, but yeah, it's just ridiculous, guys. That's what Putin said. No way, no way in English. Oh, is it Russian way of saying no way? Yeah. Isn't Camilla the Queen Consort? Yeah, he must have been thinking of Camilla instead of Kamala. Something along those lines. So, tech billionaire Elon Musk's highly anticipated online event with the former President Donald Trump was delayed on Monday by technical difficulties as some users of Musk's X app said they couldn't access the discussion. The discussion, which began about 40 minutes after its scheduled 8 p.m. ET start time, was largely a Trump monologue, not unlike the public rallies, with Musk occasionally jumping in with friendly questions about subjects where the two men generally agree. Musk, like, the highlights that I saw, like, Musk just could not get a word in. Like, he just kept ramble. Musk could not get a word in. It was just 40 minutes of Trump regurgitating a lot of the same stuff over and over again. That's all it was. Like, this was a complete waste of time. They bonded over their shared opposition to immigration, as both said that the US would cease to be in a real country if immigration continued at the current levels. Speaking apparently off the cuff, Trump tossed out casual insults of his enemies, including saying President Joe Biden is a stupid face. He also repeated debunked claims, including the theory that the Congo, which isn't a country, had emptied its prisons of murderers and sent them to the US. What? 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 Based on what? What is this based on? Musk, the CEO of Tesla, tried to nudge Trump to act on climate change and move away from fossil fuels, but it appeared to have little impact as Trump said that the energy invasion was not my world. I'm sort of waiting for you to come up with solar panels on the roofs of your cars, Trump said. The tech problems echo similar difficulties in May 2023 when Florida Governor Ron DeSantis launched his Republican presidential bid on X and was repeatedly disrupted because the site servers apparently couldn't handle the surge in traffic. Yeah, I saw actually. I was watching another video and seeing someone was playing this back, and it was just so bad. It was so bad. Yeah, Ron DeSantis' launch presidential bid was still bad, to be fair. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Joe. Can you just time him out? Appreciate it. The audio discussion eventually began and lasted more than 2 hours. It attracted more than 1.3 million listeners at its peak. And according to X's public tally, the event came as Trump has scaled back his in-person appearances after the would-be assassin shot at him in a rally in Pennsylvania on July the 13th. Trump and Musk spent at the beginning of the event recounting the attempted assassination, including what the Secret Service could have done differently to prevent it, and Trump's reaction immediately after holding up a fist. Yeah, the famous picture of him like sort of thing, trying to make himself look tough. I just want to say that I think a lot of people admire your courage under fire there, Musk said. Trump later joked, illegal immigration saved my life, nodding to the topic and a chart he was talking about when shots began to fly. Trump spokesperson posted what appeared to be a picture of Trump during the conversation. Break the internet. Look at him. He looks so happy. And he's literally like, oh, don't worry, guys, that guy's he's a troll for anyone who doesn't know that guy in the chat. Don't worry. He's literally like, and here's the thing, like, he's surrounded by people while he's talking to this phone. It's just, what's that he's leaning on there? It's a device that connects something to his microphone there. Interesting. Trump's campaign billed the event ahead of time as the interview of the century, while Musk had promised it would be unscripted with no limits on the subject matter. Musk said the initial technical difficulties were caused by a massive DDoS attack on X. I can confirm, by the way, that this massive DDoS attacks that Musk tweeted at, no one else, and I literally mean this, No one else had this issue on X. There were lots of other live streams going on at the time. None of them had this massive DDoS attack. So Musk basically lied to make it sound like, oh, we're under attack here. No, it's not. It's just you've just done poor. You're just doing poor technical services there. Referring to distributed denial of service attack in which hostile users tried to overwhelm the system to cause chaos, though Musk didn't provide evidence of an attack, NBC News was unable to verify Musk's claims. Yeah, because he lied. Allegedly. Because there were other live streams going on, and none of them were reported to have issues on X. One expert following me to the DDoS attack, the most common type of DDoS attack that entails simply directing a massive amount of fake traffic at a computer network, said the scan of recent internet traffic showed 9 signs of an attack aimed at X, which seems to otherwise work normally. They expect ours not to be named for fear of retaliation. Alt-Toker, director of NetBlocks, a company that tracks internet traffic still on X. Any sufficiently overloading server is indistinguishable from a DDoS. Some X users said they believed that the problem was X technical capabilities rather than attack. The word crashed appeared on X trending list at one point in reference to the app software, as users posted in frustration not being able to join the event. Well, what did you expect? Like, people, like, here's the thing, like, what were you expecting? Of course you were expecting the event to crash. With so many users on X, everyone would want to listen in there. I actually, the people who I feel sorry for is people on the side of Europe, like being up that late at night to actually listen to this. Like, why? Like, and then finding out you have to wait another 40 minutes to listen to this. Yeah. As users struggled to join, scammers appear to be taking advantage at the moment. A fake Tesla YouTube account posted a live stream of what appeared to be a doxed video of Musk asking users to scan a QR code to double their cryptocurrency. Many crypto scams use similar tactics in an effort to steal Bitcoin. Why would you fall for that? Even if the real Musk asks you, why would you fall for that? The event demonstrated how much Trump and Musk have reconciled after years of ups and downs in their relationship. It appears to be their first joint public event since Trump was on the White House. Although the two men met privately at least once this year at Palm Beach, Florida. Musk endorsed Trump last month for another term in the White House as one of the world's wealthiest people. He has brought his checkbook to the presidential race, contributing to a political action committee with the goal of boosting turnout for the November the 5th election. A Trump win in the fall could be a boost to Musk's business empire. His companies, including Tesla and SpaceX, are entangled in multiple regulatory fights with the Biden administration, and Trump has vowed to push the deregulatory agenda. Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, have also received a groundswell of social media support, with supporters posting a flurry of memes and videos. The relationship between Musk and Trump hasn't always been so warm. In 2022, Musk said he'd like to see Trump hang up his hat and sail into the sunset, and Trump hit back writing on Truth Social that he had Musk over a barrel when Musk visited the White House. I could have said drop to your knees and beg, and he would have done it. Yeah, they seem to have forgotten those things, haven't they? Musk later said he would support DeSantis in the 2024 Republican presidential primary, and he personally to host the event on X to launch DeSantis' campaign. Yeah, that really went well, didn't it, Musk? A key question hanging over Trump's and Musk alliance has been the future of federal subsidies for electric vehicles, including those made by Tesla. Trump has rallied against the government's measures to boost electrification, while Tesla continues to receive billions of dollars a year in regulatory credits. Trump pointed out the differences on Monday, telling Musk that he has an incredible product, but that doesn't mean everybody should have an electric car. You know what this means, right? If Trump gets in, he's just gonna turn his back on Musk, and Musk is going to kick up a fuss again, you know, and everyone's going to say, well, we told you, you backed him, and now look what happened, you goofball. So, you know, just putting that out there, you know. Yeah, I watched the highlights on YouTube, and it was like 13 minutes of my life that I just want to get back, and I just can't get them back, unfortunately, guys. But it is what it is. Let's see what are you guys saying on the chat for those who did listen to it. There we go. I'm just getting rid of that person completely, Jal, so he won't be on the live streams again. X is notorious for not taking too much users on live streams. Ron DeSantis had a bad interview on Twitter. I think Trump never watched that. LOL. Yeah. I heard about this. Everyone said there was no attacks, but simply incompliance and technical issues in X. It was him and his people. It wasn't X itself. It was him and his people setting it up. Obviously, just did a poor job of it. Bad actors, even. Yeah, it was just so bad. It was really so bad. Long DeSantis had a bad interview on Twitter too. I think Trump never watched that. Yes. Also, Japan's preparing for a potential magnitude 9 earthquake after the recent one was 7.1. They're taking this more seriously than others, apparently, says one angry pagan. Yeah, that's not looking good. I really hope they are as prepared as they possibly can for it. My thoughts and prayers with anyone with that when it does hit. The English Defence League is entwined with the Jewish Defence League, according to Double Down News. Interesting, at least. This is number 3. Yeah, I saw that earlier. I don't know if there's support for for inside rails, but no one is doing nothing about it. That says Jow. Yeah, that is indeed. Any eco stories at all? Regan League, wild pig overpopulation population problem in the US is apparently getting worse, and Labour have half gone back on their word in context of the Badger Coal 6 new licenses. I haven't read any eco stories myself, I'm afraid. That's because it keeps changing colours from number 3. I don't like it when it's done that, but I had to do it at the last minute because the mic wouldn't turn itself back on, which is really annoying. But thanks for that. Yeah, I don't like it when it does that because it can be quite distracting that when it changes colours like that. Guys, let's move on. Already 34 minutes in. Wow, we're really going flying here at the moment, guys. So this one, we've talked about this many times. I've covered it in shorts, guys. You know what's been happening here for those who've been regular viewers, but for those who don't know, so this latest from CNN: Philippines condemn China's illegal and reckless action for dropping flares in the sky above the South China Sea. So what is all this about? So China are claiming that, for those who don't know, they're claiming that they own the South China Sea. They own territorial waters not too far off the Philippines. And the Philippines are saying, no, it's actually our waters, get off. And this has been going on. This has been dragging on for quite a while. There's been no direct confrontation. China have attacked Philippine vessels with using water cannons as well. There have been communications between the two as well. But it appears like, you know, the whatever the Philippines seem to do, they just keep getting bullied consistently. I don't know what the US are doing about it apart from just telling China to stop. And the Philippines aren't exactly going to declare war on China, are they? So I don't know what the solution is here because they did try dialogue. I know they've been trying the dialogue because we covered it before. But it just feels like that China are just taking the mick here. Because they have the military, they got the firepower, they can bully Philippines here consistently. And now they're dropping flares in the sky above the South China Sea, hoping to set some Philippine boats on fire and kill some potential people. This is just so frustrating. So Felipe President Fernandez Marcos Jr. condemned on Sunday Chinese Air Force actions in waters of the South China Sea, claimed by both countries, calling the actions unjustified, illegal and reckless. A day earlier, Milano and Beijing accused each other of disrupting their military operations around the Scarborough Shoal in the first instance since Marcos took office in 2022, in which the Philippines had complained of dangerous actions by Chinese aircraft. Previously, the actions had involved Navy or Coast Guard vessels. The Philippines Marine military had condemned the dangerous and proactive actions when 2 Chinese aircraft dropped flares in the path of the Philippines aircraft during a routine patrol around the shoal on last Thursday. The Chinese military Southern Theater Command countered that the Philippines had disrupted its training, accusing Milano of illegal intrusion into its airspace. See, this is just tit for tat. It's not China's airspace. It's Philippines' airspace. It is Philippines' airspace. But they refuse to recognize that. On Sunday, Marcos urged China to act responsibly in both the seas and the skies. We have hardly started to calm the waters, and it's already worrying that there could be instability in our airspace, Marcos said in a statement posted by the Presidential Communications Office on social media platform X. The Chinese embassy in Milan did not immediately respond for a request for comment. The Scarborough Shoal is one of Asia's most contested maritime features and a flashpoint of flare-ups over its sovereignty and fishing rights. Jester Carlsbadir, president of the Melania-based think tank, International Development and Security Corporation, has said that China's actions were a show of force in response to Melania's participation in multinational drills that promote freedom of navigation and overflight. Any series of grey zone tactics at sea, we may probably see dogfights up in the sky if China continues its growing algorithm in the Philippines air and defense zones, Calvarez has said. Beijing claims almost all of the South China Sea, a conduct of more than 3 trillion of annual shipborne commerce, including parts claimed by the Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei. China rejects a 2016 ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague that Beijing expansive claims have no basis under international law. They have no basis. This is the problem here. They were told that sea is that part of the sea is not theirs, and yet it's still it's still problematic. It still is. It's fine. My number 3, you can have one. I thought I had too many moderators, but they're not always here, so that's fine. But yeah, this is just continuing on, guys. This is still continuing on. It's really, really frustrating. And this bullying is continuing, and what's being done? Nothing. Nothing's being done. Like, no one's going to sanction China. No one's going to do anything to China. They're just going to continue to bully the Philippines consistently here until what? China openly attacks the Philippines, and then what's going to happen? Then you're going to have an international incident here, and you can ramp up the tension even more. It can go down that line if things are not careful here. It's just I just wish someone would do something. Someone would just say to China, "Look, you got to stop this." Like, it's just frustrating, guys. It really, really is. China not playing around the South China Sea will not end well. Yeah, someone's gonna get killed. If people haven't already been killed, in this dispute, whether it's Chinese or Philippines, someone's gonna get killed over this. And that's the other thing as well. Like, I don't want people getting hurt. I don't want people getting killed over this. It's ridiculous. It really, really is. Like, just being greedy, China is what they are. What I mean is that they never historically were China's waters. The oldest region by Portugal sailors talk of ancestors of the Philippines, Brunei, Vietnam, and other countries. Yeah, but never China. It was never China's. But because of who they are, they can think they can bully everyone and claim it's theirs, basically, which is what they're doing. So, guys, before I play the next story for you guys, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share us across social media so others are notified of this live stream. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing because it really does help support the channel. I think we reached 1,650 subscribers last time I checked. So we're about 350 subscribers roughly away from the 2,000 mark. So I want to get there by the end of the year if possible. So if you can help me do that, please do so. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little funny video here. It's about 3 minutes long. It's from 401 Arms. They do some great ones here. So this is the Earth and Moon. They have a fight.
Hey, Moon, yeah.
Hey,
you wanted to meet up?
Yeah, it's just, you left this in my place a while back, so...
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, how's life?
Oh, life, don't get me started, man. Huge mistake.
Yeah. Well, at least you've got something going on.
Oh, don't be like that. You got plenty going on.
Well, yeah, what?
Come on, you're my light in the dark, you know that?
Yeah. You're light in the dark. You know, it's all about you every time.
Oh.
Everything revolves around you.
Oh, not this again, really?
Yeah, well, you think you're the centre of the universe.
I haven't thought that for centuries.
You think that the sun shines out of your arse. It doesn't. It's over there.
Where is this coming from?
You never visit me anymore.
I am busy.
Oh, please.
You constantly are working nights. I can barely see you during the day.
Why can't it be like the 60s? You know, when you're obsessed with me.
Oh, it was a different time.
You know, when this started out, you knew I couldn't produce life, so I don't know why it's such an issue now.
Oh, I feel like we're just going round and round in circles on this, alright?
Hey guys.
This is not a good time, Mars, alright?
Oh, okay. See you in 2 years, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Earth. Do you know who owns a car that's parked in my area? It's kind of...
Yeah, it's my Rover.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, I just saw this weird car and I was like, who owns that?
Yeah, is it bothering you or?
Yeah. No.
Right. So
It's not bothering me. It's just
Okay.
Anytime you want to pick it up or it's cool.
Okay.
It's cool where it is.
all right, thanks, Mars.
So no
Thanks,
hassle.
Mars. You know what your thing is, Moon. You just.
What's my thing?
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna put it out loud. Okay? You're clingy.
I'm clingy.
You are clingy.
Wow.
Every time I look up, there you are, just
moon.
staring
The moon.
down at me everywhere I look. Ooh. And once a month, man, you drive me crazy.
You didn't just go there. You went there.
Yes.
Wow. You know what? Forgive me for thinking that there was something between us.
Yeah, look, obviously we're always gonna have a bond.
Yeah, well, maybe gravity isn't enough anymore.
Yeah, well.
Maybe I want more.
What are you talking about?
Maybe I want a hug.
A hug?
Yeah.
No, we've never been that close. You know that.
Well,
Yeah.
what's the worst that could happen? It's just a hug.
All right.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hug it out.
Bring it in, yeah. Yeah, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not too bad at all. Yeah, it's good. Kind of like that.
Hey guys. That car. Just checking in.
Literally, it hasn't been 2 years.
No.
It's been a couple of minutes.
Because I'm having friends over, so.
Okay. Okay. Just interrupting something here.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, well, whenever you can.
Yeah.
No rush.
Okay.
Yeah, let's not ever see the moon and the earth hug each other, guys. That would be the end of everything as we know it for us. Yeah, let's not have that. Let's not. Yeah, it is a pretty old one there, but yeah, I haven't played it on the channel, so I hope you guys enjoyed that, guys. Just a reminder as well before we go to the next bit, we're going to be looking at the Ukraine-Russia war, guys. Just before we do that, if you like to financially support me, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. 99p may not sound like a lot, guys, but it really does make a massive difference. I want to thank everyone and anyone who has been a member or has been a member or who is a member at either 99p or 2.99. Being a member gets you access to custom emojis, and whenever you comment on any of my videos, you always get a response as well down in the comment section. Any of my videos, I always give you guys a response. And if you're a 2.99 member, you get early access to additional content. So some of you guys have already seen some of the early additional content that's going to be coming out tomorrow. You guys get that early as being a YouTube member. So thank you to everyone and anyone who has been a YouTube member. It really does greatly appreciate it. Of course, don't forget the custom emojis there are always available for you guys as well whenever we do live streams or premiere videos. And if otherwise you want to financially support me, you can do so by buying me a coffee or leaving the super chat. Yeah, any of those stuff really do, because I don't monetize my live streams, so I make no money off them as well. Or you can join my Patreon as well. You get additional content on there as well as if you decide to join the Patreon as well. So thanks, guys, for all that. Plugging over, let's have a look at the war in Ukraine. So Ukraine have been pushing this incursion into Russia. So before we go to a story from the Association Press, I wanted to play this clip for you guys here about how long Ukraine can hold Kurush. Kurush, if I'm saying it right, it'll pronounce it for me here. But this video here, I think, is a really, really good one here of a good explainer of what exactly has been happening here with regards to it. And I think this is very clever tactics by Ukraine.
We are joined in the studio by our security and defence analyst, Professor Michael Clark. Fascinating, isn't it, at the moment, Michael? How far do you expect Ukraine to push into this Russian cursed region?
Yeah, well, that's a piece of string at the moment because they're pushing as far as they can get, and they're not coming across a great deal of opposition at the moment. I was looking at the area that they occupy, and they're moving. I mean, even the Russians are admitting that they've been fighting at Tolpino, which is outside the main area up in the north. They're fighting at Zurovili. They're fighting at Kolochilovka, or at least there is fighting at Kolochilovka, which is not part of this enclave. And there is more activity down towards Belgorod. What the Ukrainians, for once, are trying to do to the Russians, what the Russians have been doing to them, which is stretch them to actually create issues along the border in other places to take pressure off the enclave that they've created. And this
this is the thing. Russia did not expect, like Russia had forces on their borders, right? But at no point at all in this conflict did they ever think that Ukrainians would go into their territory. And this they played an absolute blinder here on the Russians. The Russians literally did not expect this. They did not expect this to happen. Now, as he will say, obviously, Ukraine this will work for a while, and then Ukraine will obviously have to pull out at some point, because Russia will bring more forces in to quell this. Good to see you, Mad Monk. Hope you're doing well. And they'll have to pull back. The other thing that obviously that isn't highlighted on here, it does make me wonder, but because Ukraine are able to do this, would they consider doing something like this with Belarus? Now they're not directly at war with Belarus, but there has always been this possibility that Russia could invade from Belarus. There's always been that possibility, and I don't think we could ever rule that out as well. So I do wonder if Russia would ever pull that trigger. And the thing is, Belarus can't say no, because at the end of the day, they're a puppet for Vladimir Putin.
Enclave, this cursed pocket, is getting bigger all the time. So at the moment, it's actually now about 45 or 50 miles long, and it's about 20-odd miles wide. So this pocket is getting larger.
And you see there the yellow there highlighting the Ukraine claimed control. So of what they seem to have claimed. So they've pushed quite. I mean, that's quite a push already. From this is not being. That's quite incredible. And Russia really. I kind of like I said, they've just been completely caught off guard by this this incursion.
And it's based on Susa, but equally it's moving. I mean, on other maps that we're being very conservative about this, but there are quite a lot of other maps which show advances down to the southeast and further advances up to the northwest. So the pocket is going bigger because the Russians are not able to do very much about it. They've only got local troops. I was looking at the fortification line. This is the line that the Russians have all along their frontier, fortifications. And the fortification line actually goes right through the middle of the pocket. So in other words, the Ukrainians just walk straight over it. That's how good the fortification line was when they got to it. The Russians were completely unprepared for this because they didn't expect there to be a battle anywhere in this part of the frontier. They thought the battle was all down here. But the Ukrainians have pulled a fast one on them, counterpunch, moved into Russian territory. So as military manoeuvres go, it's a classic of its kind. How big it will get will depend on how fast and powerfully the Russians respond to it. But so far they've been slow, they've not been very effective. That won't last. The Russians will come at this with a great deal of power. They won't settle for this. They will bring in units. They'll do whatever it takes. But how long that will be kind of depends on them more than the Ukrainians.
We've spoken so many times about Russia being, on the front foot with this. How long do you think Ukraine can maintain this position?
It depends on how many troops they want to put into it. I mean, we know they've got more troops in the Sumy region, and they don't pull them together in one place or they'll be vulnerable. But we know there's quite a lot of troops and equipment spread across the Sumy region. And what they will do, they can do, is bring them together quickly and then move into the pocket to reinforce. But the more troops they bring into it, the bigger the pocket gets, the more people they've got in a vulnerable position.
The longer that they are in Russian territory, the more they are more vulnerable in there. There's always a possibility of them getting cut off as well. That can be a real danger of them possibly being cut off by the Russian forces, of being trapped in the Russian territory. That could potentially happen. But this is all about disrupting. This is all about disrupting Russia. I am concerned about Ukrainian forces in there, because my fear is about them getting cut off by Russia, and it's a case of when they're going to come in brute force, as he said there, and cut them off. That's my real concern for them there.
At some point, I keep saying this, at some point they're going to have to conduct a withdrawal in good order. They're going to have to get out. It's called breaking contact. Breaking contact with the enemy. You've got to find a space. If the enemy are attacking, you've got to find 2 or 3 miles of space where you can break contact and then withdraw. It's also known as getting the hell out of there while you still can. And at some point, they will have to do that, but not yet. They are exploiting it as far as they possibly can. And at the moment, it's the Russians who are on the back foot in this one area.
Sure.
Elsewhere on the front, the Russians are still pushing, the Ukrainians are still in trouble, but they're hoping that this will actually reverse the dynamic and make the Russians bring in better units, good units, to actually create this moment when the Ukrainians will then say, OK, we've had enough, we're off.
Fine. OK.
Yeah, very good analysis there of it. That is for sure, guys. very good analysis there, I have to say. Because they haven't got the strong, as he said there, as he rightly said, they haven't got the strongest of forces on those areas because obviously they weren't expecting it. But yeah, as we've covered deep state map in times, we know that ever since the fall of Avika, they have been pushing a lot. Most of the push has obviously been in the Donetsk region, which we've covered extensively over several months here on the channel, guys. That's where the main push has been, and Vladimir Putin obviously wants Donetsk secured before the end of the year. Whether he will or not obviously remains to be seen, but still they are still pushing in that territory. But hopefully this little incursion, maybe, just maybe, it will slow down the push from Russia's perspective. That we will have to wait and see, you guys. So sticking with the war in Ukraine, Ukraine's week-old incursion into Russia has embarrassed Putin. How will it affect the war? So the swift Ukrainian incursion into Russia's Kursk region that began last week has been the largest cross-border raid by Kiev's forces in nearly 2.5-year war, and has exposed Russia's vulnerability and dealt a painful blow to the Kremlin. The Russian military has thus far struggled to deal with the surprise attack, which has led to tens of thousands of civilians to flee the region. Now, I have looked, and as far as I'm aware, no civilians have been... I haven't heard any Russian civilians have been attacked or anything like that at this. As far as I'm aware, I've not heard anything. Maybe someone has heard differently. I know many civilians have fled those regions and have been told to evacuate, but that's about it. I haven't heard anything terrible happen to the civilians there, in contrast to stories and news that I've heard about Ukrainian civilians in Russian occupied territory. For Ukraine, the raid has provided much needed boost to morale at a time when it's undermining and undergunned. Forces are facing relentless Russian attack along the more than 1,000 kilometer, 620-mile front line. Here's a look at the Ukrainian raid and its implementations. I wonder if America was aware that they were going to do this, and I wonder what Joe Biden generally thought about this. I wonder what the Biden administration thought about this. Because I imagine that the US must have known about this idea. They must have known that they were going to do this. Surely Zelensky would have said something to them. So Kiev's troops poured into the Kursk region from several directions last Tuesday, quickly overwhelming a few checkpoints and field fortifications manned by lightly armed border guards and infantry units along the region's 245-kilometer, 152-mile frontier with Ukraine. Unlike previous raids conducted by small groups of anti-Kremlin Russian volunteers fighting alongside Ukrainian forces, the incursion into the Kursk region reportedly involved units from several battle-hardened Ukrainian army brigades. Yeah, these were not just amateurs. These were some well-experienced Ukrainian forces that were put into this. Russia's military bloggers reported that Ukrainian mobile troops comprised of several armored vehicles and quickly drove dozens of kilometers into Russian territory, bypassing Russia's fortifications and sowing panic throughout the region. Matthew Tarswell, the military science director at the Royal United Service Institute in London, said on Monday that Ukrainian forces have pushed up to 30 kilometers, 19 miles in some directions. He also said the total area covered by the incursion appears to be around 400 square kilometers, 154 miles, although it's unclear how much of the territory they actually control. Savall said that there's evidence up to 10,000 Ukrainian troops from at least 4 brigades and possibly more are being involved, and are using Western-provided equipment, including infantry fighter vehicles. 10,000 troops is a lot of troops to... 10,000 troops, that's a lot of troops for Ukraine to dedicate to this. That's a huge number if that number is accurate. But that's a huge amount of dedication to put into something like this. The Ukrainian forces have widely used drones to strike Russian military vehicles and deploying electronic warfare to jam Russian drones to suppress military communications. While small Ukrainian mobile groups roam the region without trying to consolidate control, other troops reportedly have started digging defensive fortifications in certain areas, including the western part of Suska, a town about 10 kilometers, 6 miles from the border. So they're already entrenching themselves into territories here. That's gonna really annoy the Russians. If they can entrench themselves in Russian territory, that's gonna really upset Putin. That's gonna really upset the military. I imagine 1 or 2 generals could get sacked over this as well. Because if they can fortify territory within Russia, but still have an exit strategy out back into Ukraine, that will without shadow of a doubt infuriate Vladimir Putin. Caught off guard, Russian troops failed to mount a quick response, with the bulk of their army engaged in offensive in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region. Few troops were left to protect the Kursk border area. The Russian units were there consisted of mainly poorly trained conscripts who were easily overcome by seasoned Ukrainian units. According to Russian military vloggers, some conscripted were captured. The manpower shortage led Russia's military command to initially rely on warplanes and helicopter gunships to try and counter-attack. Advancing Ukrainian forces managed to down at least one Russian helicopter, damaging another, according to Russia's military bloggers. Russian reinforcements, including elite special units and hardened Wagner mercenaries, have started to arrive in the Kursk region, but so far they appear to have failed to dislodge the Ukrainian troops from Suzes and other areas. Some of the newly arriving troops appear to have lacked combat skills and suffered casualties. In one example, a convoy of military trucks carelessly stopped on the roadside near a combat area and was pummeled by Ukrainian fire. Well, you know, if there's an opportunity to get at you, they're going to get at you, aren't you? The Russian Defense Ministry said on Friday that Ukraine had lost 495 soldiers in 4 days of the fighting, though it didn't say how many Russians had died, and its claims couldn't be independently verified. Yeah, one thing, guys, is that Ukraine does not give away its and every now and then, guys, I'll give you guys the numbers of how many Russian soldiers have allegedly lost their lives, according to Kiev's administration, but one thing Ukraine will not do is give numbers of how many lives have been lost. Ukraine keep that very quiet. They do. Zelensky confirmed for the first time that Kiev forces are operating in the Kursk region and said that the incursion was purely a security issue for Ukraine. In a video posted on Monday to his Telegram channel, Zelensky said the Ukrainian military was hitting back at Russian forces that had launched strikes at Ukraine from the Kursk region. It is absolutely fair to attack Russian positions, including airfields and logistics used to strike Ukraine, Zelensky said, adding that the goal of the mission was the liberalization of the border from the Russian military. In the video, Ukraine's military top commander, General Al-Aqsa told the president that Kiev's forces control 1,000 square kilometers of the Kursk region they claim could not be independently verified. Zelensky's advisor, Mikhail suggested last week that such an operation would improve Kiev's hand in future negotiations with Moscow. Yeah, that would also if there was going to be future negotiations, but the thing is, it depends how much territory they can take. Nah, like the expert said, yeah, I just can't see them. Like, if they entrench themselves in certain Russian territory, they could hold it for a good while. And the thing is that Russia can't would Russia compound the areas? Like, would they bombard the areas with airstrikes and everything? I don't know if they would, because they would be destroying their own civilians' homes and towns in doing so, as opposed to Ukrainians. I don't know if they'd be willing to do that. That is a very interesting question. When it will be possible to conduct a negotiation process in a way that we can push them or get something from them when the war is not going on according to the scenarios, he said. A very unhappy Vladimir Putin there. Russian President Vladimir Putin has described the incursion as a large-scale provocation that involves indiscriminate shelling of civilian buildings, residential houses, and ambulances. Oh, right. Because obviously, you know, when you've hit and attacked civilian targets and schools, and I've covered extensively, you know, but obviously that's not indiscriminate, you know, when the innocence of Ukrainian lives who are just trying to live their lives in territories that you're firing upon with your, you know, artilleries and airstrikes, obviously that's indiscriminate. It's not indiscriminate, but obviously to do it to Russian civilians, it's just pure discrimination. I'm sorry, like, it is a, you know, it's a bit of a tit for tat. I don't wish any deaths or any injuries upon Ukrainian or Russian civilians at all. But I also understand why Ukraine are doing this tactic, and it's a very good tactic, to say the least. Putin suggested that the Ukrainian attack is an attempt by Kiev to stop Moscow's offensive in Ukraine's Donbass region and gain leverage in possible future peace talks. Speaking to his TOSS official on Monday, he vowed that Moscow would fulfill all of its military goals. Yeah, of course, that's exactly what I think is part of it as well. It is obvious that the enemy is trying to destabilize the situation in the border zone to try and destabilize the domestic political situation in our country, Putin said. Russia's main task is to squeeze out to drive the enemy out of the territories and together with border services to ensure reliable cover on the state border. The Kursk region acting governor Alexei Symarov said Monday that Ukrainian forces had taken control of 28 settlements. He said 12 civilians have been killed and 121 others. Yes, I hope that's not, including 10 children. There are always casualties of war, and yeah, my heart goes out to all those people. Had been wounded since the start of the incursion. About 121,000 people have been left or been evacuated from the combat areas, he said. Russia announced a federal emergency in the Kursk region to declare a counter-terrorism operation there and in the neighbouring Belgorod and Balakh region, giving local authorities more power to quickly coordinate an emergency response and tighten security. Russian state propaganda has focused on the Kremlin's efforts to provide assistance to displaced residents while playing down the military's unpreparedness for the attack. By launching the incursion, Kiev could be aiming to force the Kremlin to divert resources from Ukraine's Donetsk region, where Russian forces have pressed offensive in several sectors and made slow but steady gains. If Ukraine managed to hold on to some of the Kursk region, that would strengthen Kiev's hand in future peace talk and could allow it to trade for them for Russian-occupied Ukrainian territories. The incursion has also dealt a blow to the Kremlin, highlighting its failures to protect the country and shatter Putin's narrative that Russia has remained largely unscathed by the hostilities. Yeah, that's obviously gonna, you know, they will be. That's not a very good picture for them either, especially for trying to propaganda the civilians into understanding this as well. David, good to see you there. If I didn't say hello earlier, I hope you're well. The incursion has also sent a strong signal to Kiev's allies that the Ukrainian military could seize the initiative in the war, a message particularly important ahead of the US presidential election. But despite the initial success, the foray into Russia might cause attrition in some of Ukraine's most capable units and leave troops in Donetsk without vital reinforcements. This is the issue, is where now Ukrainian forces are we already know troop numbers are struggling. We do know that. So there were obviously the Association Press, who is one of the most independents out there, reporting 10,000 Ukrainian troops. Those 10,000 could be a real difference maker on some of the front lines in Ukraine. Trying to establish large presence in the Kursk region could be challenging for the Ukrainian forces, whose supply lines would be vulnerable to Russian fire. Sustaining a force of any size in Russia and defending against counterattacks would be hard, given the limited reserves available to Ukraine. Yes, this is a very interesting tactic of them. That is to say the least. And how long they'll be able to hold on to this, it will be interesting to say the least. I will try and get as much clips as I can on this on Friday's Snowflake conflict for you guys, because I do think this will be definitely one to talk about a lot more. Hopefully, I can get some clips for you guys for that, because I do think this is quite interesting to say the least. I think the Ukrainians have played a blinder by wrong-footing the enemy, says Mad Monk. I think it's a very good blinder by them. They definitely caught Russia off guard because they left those borders vulnerable because they weren't expecting anything. In martial arts, the tactic against a strong opponent is to let them rush you and at the last minute move aside and attack. Classic move, says Zhao. As I understand, Ukraine isn't looking to take Russian lands, but make them have to turn around and stop advancing into Ukraine. Yeah, 100%, Suzanne. That's exactly the intention here. The intention isn't to annex the territory or anything like that. The intention is to slow down the advances, to slow down the Russian advances, to divert especially their most experienced forces, and to give to ease some kind of the pressure off the front lines, especially in the Donetsk region, as we've covered extensively. That's where they're pushing, obviously, and they want to try and slow that down, obviously. One wonders how much of this gets through to most Russians. Well, if Vladimir Putin is talking about this, I'm sure the state media will may cover it. But they will obviously play it down as minor as they possibly can. After listening to a little girl happy to be able to go to the supermarket without being shot at, heard it when she arrived here. Cannot forgive the Russians, says Zhao. My youngest nephew, my best friend David Jarrell, and his mother Ukrainian, dad Portuguese, had his sisters, muffin nephews are here. From what I've seen, the civilians are just getting out of Dodge. Yeah, the civilians are literally just getting out of Dodge. But there has been, unfortunately, some losses of life, unfortunately. The Americans not only need to say so long, farewell Trump, but the bulk of the Republican Congress, if there is any need, for any real accomplishment of healing in international relations, says Suzanne as well. Good evening, Stephen Banker. Late or do catch up all around. Hello. Too many to individual, but segments the same. No worries, Stephen Banker. That's totally fine. Right, so I'm a bit conscious of the time, you guys. So I had 2 more articles. I try to cover both of them if I can. I do want to do the funny memes if possible as well. So this one I got for you guys is from African News. A security crisis in Haiti limits access to maternal health care. So as far as what I've looked up, guys, nothing really has changed much in Haiti. The Kenyan police forces are in Port-au-Prince. I haven't heard much skirmishes or engagement from the gangs to them. So, but things are still like there's still no stability in Haiti. There's still no stability in Port-au-Prince. There's still problems, and obviously as things continue to have these problems, you know, they're not just healthcare, but you know, basic standards in the country are diminishing as a result of this security crisis. So let's read this piece that African News has had. Since the beginning of the year, the capital of Haiti, Port-au-Prince, has been in the grips of widespread gang violence. Urban areas have been turned to battlegrounds. The United Nations estimates that over 500,000 people have been internally displaced across the country. And giving birth was already risky before the current escalation in violence. And Haiti has the highest maternal mortality rate in Western Hemisphere. My God, that's horrible. Highest maternity mortality rate. Context, good to see you there. I hope you're doing well. A staggering 950 women die every year from complications during pregnancy, childbirth, and its aftermath today. Limited access to maternal health care is making childbirth even more dangerous. Many hospitals are no longer functioning. There is a shortage of medicine, and around 40% of Haiti's medical personnel have left the country. Access to basic health services is very limited, including parental care, reproductive health care, and mental health services. Internally displaced mother Jolana said she was lucky to find help at a hospital in the capital. This is my first child. He is 2 days old. I went into a delivery room at 6 a.m. The doctor did everything possible to help me, she said. While the birth did not go as planned, she was able to have a cesarean section and her baby was born healthy. The violence also resulted in a surge in hunger, which poses devastating threats to pregnant and breastfeeding women and their children. Around 5 million people, and about half of the population, are facing acute hunger. Marilyn Azug, an internal displaced mother, said the situation is extremely stressful and finding enough to eat is difficult. But we are holding on. I am 6 months pregnant, needing to go to the hospital. Fortunately, we were given medicine there. The support is crucial for our health. The United Nations Population Fund, the UNFPA, together with partners, is reaching communities with critical reproductive health services and aid. Essential supplies and equipment for emergency obstetric care and clinical management of rape have been delivered to health facilities, and hospitals have remained open in Port-au-Prince as well as other parts of the country. Mobile health teams continue to travel to displacement sites to provide reproductive health services to women and girls and to distribute basic hygiene items such as and supplies for newborns. Despite the soaring needs, the UNFPA's $28 million appeal is only 19% funded. It says increased, immediate and flexible funding and sustained, unimpeded humanitarian access to all areas of the country is urgently required. She is among many, many people out there suffering. It is a crisis that Haiti is not one that's talked about very rarely, guys. And I do apologize, I haven't covered anything lately, but I wanted to give you guys something at least that's happening over there because it's not something that's talked enough about. But obviously, I will try to keep up to date as much as I possibly can with it, guys. So I do appreciate you guys listening to that, because it's not nice to hear about what people are going through in there. What's also not nice to hear is what's happening in Venezuela as well. The world must confront Murado's campaign of terror, Venezuelan opposition leader has said. This was an article on Sunday by The Guardian. Marina Correa Machado is in hiding as more than 1,300 people are detained in the post-election clampdown. So, yeah, Murado is clamping down. The election was rigged. He's remaining in power. Nothing is going to change in Venezuela. We kind of already foreshadowed this. Murado obviously paid a lot of mercenaries and whatnot to ensure that there would be no uprising of any sort. And it's a real shame because, yeah, people are going to continue to suffer as a result of this election. A rigged election, shall we call it. So Venezuela's main opposition leader, Marina Correa Machado, if I mispronounce her name, I apologize, has accused the country's strongman President Nicolas Maduro of unleashing a horrific campaign of terror in an attempt to cling on to power. 2 weeks after Maduro, widely questioned, claimed to have won the 28 July election, human rights activists said he has launched a ferocious clampdown designed to silence those convinced his rival Emmanuel Gonzalez was the actual winner. More than 1,300 people have been detained, including 116 teenagers. According to rights group Follow Petel, at least 24 people have reportedly been killed. Speaking from an undisclosed location where she is hiding, Michiko, a charismatic conservative who is Gonzalez's key backer, urged governments around the world to oppose Maduro's intensifying crackdown. What's going on in Venezuela is horrific. Innocent people are being detained or disappearing as we speak, said the 56-year-old former congresswoman, who endorsed Gonzalez after authorities barred her from running. Maduro's regime has nicknamed part of its clampdown Operation Tun Tun, Operation Knock Knock, a chilling reference to the often late-night visits to perceived government oppositions in heavily armed black-clad captors from the intelligence service or police. Tung's targets have included activists, journalists, and prominent opposition politicians, but most detainees appear to be residents of working-class areas who rose up en masse against Maduro for the first time in the 2 days after his disputed claim to victory. One Tut-Tut propaganda video published on the Instagram account of the military counterintelligence service, the GGCIM, last week showed one of Maduro's campaign organizers, Marina, being detained to the sound of a nursery rhyme from the 1984 horror film A Nightmare on Elm Street, in which Freddy Krueger attacked children in their dreams. 1, 2, Freddy coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your doors, warns the song's sinister lyrics. They are taking pleasure in doing all this as well. A second video showing another arrest is soundtracked by the horror film adaptation of Carol of the Bells, whose mortified lyrics warn, if you've done wrong, then he will come, he'll look for you, you better hide. Asked if she feared she and Gonzalez would soon receive a visit from Maduro's security forces, Machino replied, at this moment in Venezuela, everyone is afraid that your door could be knocked on and your freedom could be taken away, and even your life is threatened. Maduro has unleashed a campaign of terror against Venezuelans. Every democratic government should raise their voices much more loudly, says Machino, who believes their representation laid bare the criminal nature of a regime that knew it had lost by a landslide to Gonzalez and was now seeking desperately to cling to power. They've decided that their only option to stay in power is to use violence, fear, and terror against the population. Campaigners for human rights and democracy said the speed and scale of the repression is virtually unprecedented in the region's recent history. Maduro has claimed that he's pursuing criminals and terrorists who are behind a fascist, foreign-backed conspiracy to topple him. In Latin America, there has been a repressive crackdown of such magnitude as it happens in Venezuela since the days of the Chilean dictator Augusto Pinochet. If I mispronounced the name, apologize. Marino Alavingo, an activist from the Venezuelan human rights group Polonia, told El País last week. Carolina, the president of the Washington office on Latin America Advocacy Group, told the New York Times that I've been documenting human rights violations in Venezuela for many years and have seen patterns of repression before. I don't think I've ever seen it this ferociously. Tamara, the director of the new Rule of Law program at the Inter-American Dialogue think tank, said the arbitrary arrest and a social media crackdown has temporarily blocked X and Signal, suggesting Maduro wants to take Venezuela, even if it's a more positive direction. It looks as if he wants to go towards being full-fledged dictatorship, she said. You need to be very brave and take to the streets now in Venezuela. They are trying very hard to intimidate people, so they don't take to the streets. I think there is. I think it's been also, I don't know if people are going to stand up and protest because of this. The government's attempts to create an atmosphere of fear was on show last Saturday. Thousands of opposition supporters gathered in Carlos to hear Machico speak despite the risk of arrest. Unlike the other opposition marches in recent years, many protesters declined to give their names to journalists for fear of persecution, and some wore masks. And after the march, at least one reporter was detained by security officials and accused of stirring up hatred. Machico came in disguise wearing a sweatshirt and with a hood up. So this was on August the 8th. Yeah, this last rally, last oppression rally there. Before I came out today, my daughter threw herself on top of me and made me promise that I would come home, said the 21-year-old demonstrator, describing how her friend was captured hours before. Telently, the next anti-Maduro mobilization is set to be held prominently outside Venezuela, where about 8 million of its estimated 29 million civilians live after fleeing abroad to escape economic chaos and political repression. Machico has called on supporters to gather across the globe for Saturday, 17th of August, for a great worldwide protest for the truth. She urged Maduro, who has governed since being elected after the death of his mentor Hugo Chavez in 2013, to accept his defeat and understand that we are offering reasonable terms for a negotiated transition. Those terms include guarantees, safe passage, and incentives. Maduro has publicly dismissed talks of negotiations, but some believe one option for him could be exile in an allied countries such as Cuba, Turkey, or Iran. Panama's President Jose Raul Moro last week offered him temporary asylum on routes such as destination, although Maduro quickly rejected the offer. She has pledged not to seek revenge or to persecute members of Maduro's administration, although her campaign trail promises to forever bury socialism, and her past calls for foreign military intervention to make many Chavez profoundly suspicious of the right-wing politician. Machico has recognized the role of left-wing leaders of Brazil, Colombia, and Mexico, who have not recognized Maduro's claim to victory, could have a conviction him to enter a serious negotiation for democratic transition. But we have to stop repression at the cost of the cost of repression has to be increased. Those red lines that Maduro's regime is crossing as we speak, Machico has added. I do fear for her, and I fear for the people who are continuing to stand up for this. It's a very dangerous situation for them, really, really dangerous situation. I just don't. I want them to succeed, guys. I really want them to. But I just think that the force that Maduro has, that it has, is just going to crack down on this. The global gathering of this Saturday. I really do fear for them, guys. I really, really do. Just see what you guys are saying in the chat regarding it. Maduro said he studied in Cambridge, meaning Cambridge, or Ofsted, meaning Oxford, says David. I used to know Bellarmine immigration officer who had to stop the Haitian small boats, says number 3. She might ask asylum here since she has double nationality, but apparently she does not want to leave the country. Why shouldn't you make fun of a pathologist because you will get Jurassic kicked, says one angry pagan. We're throwing jokes now, are we? Okay. Well, if you want to know the jokes, guys, you'll have to check out most of them if you're watching it back later on. Jal says, only if the army takes the opposition side will Maduro be forced to negotiate. Right now, the army is on Maduro's side. Sad but true. Some army soldiers have defected. I know that. Some police officers have defected as well. I am aware of that, but not nowhere near the level that needs to be. But yeah, the military can change all this, but it's a case of whether they want to, unfortunately. But I don't think they are, guys. So, guys, just before we head out over to Max's live stream, I think he's live streaming tonight. I haven't seen confirmation, but I'm assuming he is. But before we go, guys, we're going to be hitting the funny memes. I've got 5 for you guys here. Hope you guys enjoy these. This is the real reason you guys come to watch the Snowflake Corner, really. It's nothing to do with the news. This is the only reason you come to hear me try and say these funny memes. Okay. Hope you guys enjoy these ones. Dude, you are seriously stoned. I don't know who needs to hear this, but this is not acceptable for an adult. How dare you not wear matching socks? You are a disgrace. I did a push-up today. Well, actually, I fell down, but I had to use my arms to get back up. So, close enough. Now I need chocolate. Before we work on artificial intelligence, why don't we do something about natural stupidity? Sometimes I feel like I'm having my life together, and then I'm like, wow, that was a really nice 45 seconds. Oh, that was a weird one. I'm sure some of you may have seen this meme before, but it's a classic one. Yeah, how do you deal with natural stupidity? Answers on a postcard, please. That is a tough one. Natural stupidity. It's a very difficult thing to overcome, that is for sure. David Gerardo said, Regan, I can tell you that Maduro told Venezuela had no food because a USA barrier of supplies and the population found a warehouse full of food. Yeah, I do fear for the people of Venezuela that nothing's going to change there, but maybe something will. We can only hope. Very brave of the. My heart goes out to the people of Venezuela who are suffering. They just want. They're not political guys. They just want better life. They just want better jobs. They want better pay. They want better opportunities. They just want a better society for them. That's all it is. They just want something different. And he doesn't want to give that. And people are dying every single day. And now he's installing fear and repression. And it's just not right. It's just not right, you guys. So, guys, I will see you over in Max's live stream a little bit. I've got to go and have my dinner. But before I go, guys, I want to say thank you, everyone who's come here today. Thank you, guys, for all your comments. Thank you guys for all your feedback. It's always greatly appreciated. Tomorrow will be the Snowflake Watch. I'm sure you guys will be looking forward to that. There'll be plenty of stuff to watch and react to on there. Reminder, on Thursday, guys, myself and Graham Price, aka Power to the People, the YouTube channel, will be having a discussion there. There will not be a Snowflake Talks next week because I have some stuff going on. There will not be a Snowflakes talk the following week as well. So it will be a couple of weeks before I have another Snowflakes talk. So there is one person that I have been trying to arrange a date. I will talk to that person again when I can. And obviously, I do need to arrange something with Dave McGuinness, who's just popped up in the chat there as well. I know everyone's been hammering me about that, so I definitely need to sort that out at some point as well. So thank you guys, everyone, for coming along again. Make sure you do the usual stuff. The gang here just wanted to say thank you as well. So the gang wanted to say thank you guys for coming along. They're always here, lurking in the background as always. But just before we go, guys, I just have to say one final thing. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this live stream. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.